Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're talking wild horses with Tracy Wilson, Greg Hendricks, and Kris Thompson. They're here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome back to the program Tracy Wilson. She is the Nevada State Director of the American Wild Horse Conservation Group. Greg Hendricks is a program volunteer with the same group. And Kris Thompson is former project manager with the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center and a big fan of wild horses. Let's start out, Kris, for people that may not have seen the previous show that you guys were on. What was the problem back then, before the legislative session, and where are we now?
So at the time, it was we were talking about the wild horse as the horse of the state horse of Nevada, and the key point and my interest is that I lived in TRI in the heart of the Virginia Range for about 14 years, and I still work there every day, and people that work there have a vested interest in the success of the wild horse population, making sure it's sustainable. And these good folks and this group helps keep the population down by means of fertility control and many other things. They do rescues, coordinating water sites, and that kind of thing. And so what has brought us back is that the agreement with the state under which they do the darting and they do the population control was up for renewal. And just as a third party, it looks like that it's gone through some pretty strenuous negotiating, we'll say, on both sides, but it looks like there's fundamental agreement on the terms. It's not signed yet.
This is with the Department of Agriculture.
The State Department of Agriculture, the Nevada Department of Agriculture, and Director Gokachia. It looks like we're there, the group is there, which is great news. And so I think it's a good time to talk about kind of the fork in the road where we were, and these folks are here to talk about the success the amazing success of the program in the Virginia Range.
Yeah, and I think since we were here last, we completed year 6 of the program, so we now have a whole other year of data collected from that over. So we started in April of 2019, so we sort of shifted in the end of April of this year. We completed year 6, so we have all the data from that and our stats and where our successes are and where we're
So
headed.
tell us about those successes.
So we have, from 2020 to 2024, we reduced full births by 66%. And now with 2025, we have a graph that shows how much lower full births are again yet this year in the peak of breeding season. Obviously, we have to finish the full year to get full year numbers, but we're looking like pretty close to around 80% reduction in full births, which is phenomenal.
Huge. Yes.
Huge, huge, huge. And on our range, we also have a healthy population of predators. So of the foals born, there are even less of those that actually survive to adulthood. So when you take those natural factors and then the fertility control that we're doing, the birth control for the mares, we're bringing that population down. And when you hold those births down low, then the natural attrition of death starts to bring the population down. We believe when we started this program back in 2019, when we look at all the data over the years, all the information collected, that we started with about 4,000 horses. So we're down to about 3,500 horses in that 6-year period. It's just so critical that we manage these animals on the range because having to pull them, as we see in the federal programs, we're spending millions of dollars holding horses in long-term facilities. At the state level, we don't have that at the state level, and these horses don't fall under federal protection. So if they're removed, they've either got to be adopted by somebody or they're going to end up going to the livestock auction. And from there, they can be sold to slaughter. It's really out of anyone's hands who buys them or what happens to them after they're purchased. So managing them on the range alleviates those problems, and it saves the taxpayers a ton of money because no removals have to happen. Our program is funded completely by private donations and grants, so it's not costing the state anything at all. So it really was paramount that we get this program renewed and continue into year 7 and continue that success and continue to bring those numbers down humanely, which most of the population, the community members, support.
Okay, so I see you nodding along here. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm one of the community members that support the program as a volunteer. I was involved with wild horses really early on in my career in college and went to work for the Bureau of Land Management here in Carson City for 7 years. And that was a passion that was ignited by working in a range field, dealing with a big problem. Back then, we still had horse issues and too many horses. And back then, we could adopt them. They'd gather 4,000, they'd adopt 4,000 in a year, and the lines would go out the door at Palomino Valley Corral. Well, that's changed, right? And so moving on into other careers, other jobs, I had that passion continue. And so I came back to American Wild Horse and became a volunteer and volunteered darting horses with fertility control, working on fence repairs as needed, moving horses as needed, and being really heavily involved in trying to make this program really work. And so it needs volunteers and it needs people that have a passion for it. And you'll have a passion if you actually get involved. And so that's one of the things about when you volunteer. It's something that you're giving back, not only to the community, but the future generations that are coming on board, because wild horses are an iconic thing for the West and also for the East, because really their original fertility control started out at Assateague Island on the East Coast or down in South in the Carolinas. So the bottom line is that it's a project that allows you, again, to be active in preserving the history of the West and the contribution that these horses made in getting us even out here and helping us settle the West. And I think that it's really important that we honor that and that we keep their numbers adequately managed so we don't break the budget, and then we also keep these icons for our kids for tomorrow.
All right, so Kris, what is the role of the state in all of this?
So in I think in 1971, federal government passed the Wild Horse and Burros Act that controls wild horses roaming free on federal land, right? But because it was kind of championed out of Nevada, the Virginia range, which is 395, roughly 395, I-80, 95, Carson River, that Virginia mountain range was accepted out and to be protected and under the control of the state government. And so that's the group that the American Wild Horse Conservation is working with now on this program. And as I said, we're at a fork in the road here with the renewal of this agreement. On the one hand, these people have proven amazingly successful, no cost to the taxpayer. If you don't have fertility control in the Virginia range, the population grows quickly. They start spreading out onto the highways, endangering motorists. It's bad. It's abuse of the horses. So they're rounded up, and currently the cost of a horse is about $800 per horse in a roundup. And there's about 62,000 wild horses in federal corrals. Over the lifetime, a horse costs $48,000 to the federal government per horse to maintain it. About 10%, the fatality rate is about 10% through disease or lack of thriving, they call it, where a horse just gives up and stops eating. I mean, if a zoo had a 10% fatality rate, they would shut it down overnight. And it costs the federal government, $100 million a year. I mean, so it seems like a no-brainer to me, and we're thankful that it looks like there's an agreement on renewal of this. So it's great for the Virginia range, where I've spent a good portion of my life.
Okay, so tell me about the agreement and what you're looking for and hoping for, that you've come to that part of the fork in the road. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah, it is. It does sound like it's going in the right direction. I believe it's in final review right now, and hopefully we will imminently have it signed and have our team back to work. We've got about 40 volunteers just waiting to get back out there between our darters. And
so the agreement has actually run out at this point.
It did. It expired the end of April, and we didn't have any darting in May at all. And then the state gave us a gap agreement in the beginning of June, and our team got out and darted 179 horses in 2 weeks during that gap. That is actually the second highest month in numbers of the entire year. I mean, they're passionate about what they do, and they want to do it for the horses, and they were ready to go. They hit the ground running the very next day and made a huge impact during that time. But we did some quick figures, and if we had not been able to get this back on track, there was a potential for 81% more foals to be born without fertility control. And just to touch on something Kris said, the Virginia ranges, all those borders he talked about, they're confined in that area. They can't spread out if the population grows. And, we do have all this development happening on the Virginia range, but with the reduction, with our cooperative agreement and the other local organization cooperative agreement for management, the vehicle accidents were down 73% from January to May this year compared to 2 years ago. That's a big drop.
Huge.
So it's showing that it's working. It's showing that we're moving in the right direction. We just didn't want to see that get lost in new language. There just was a lot of new language that came with the agreement this year. It had to be reviewed. It had to be discussed on what we could accept and what we couldn't, and same for the state, what they could accept and what they couldn't.
So what were the objection points from the previous agreement?
Well, there's some different things. There's a boundary change that's pretty unprecedented on the west part from Washoe Lake, and then there was some actual individual horse information that we've been collecting information on these horses since 2015. That's never been asked for before. So that was a big sticking point. There was also...
Although you guys agreed. We've agreed.
We did.
Yeah,
we've got it dialed in. We've got the list of agreed information that we'll provide. The state seems to be accepting of that. So we're just really grateful that we were able to get to that point that we can say, okay, this is something we can all agree on. So now it gets through that final review, and hopefully we move forward. I would love to say that our darters will be back out there tomorrow. I mean, we are ready to go and ready to make a difference.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more on this after this timeout.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain, moving 95% of our freight in the Silver State. And while essential, the road isn't always smooth. Supply chain disruptions, rising fuel costs, and unrealistic rules and laws that hamper our ability to serve our customers and country. Our prosperity and every sector of the economy, manufacturing, mining, medicine, and food from farm to table, is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're continuing our conversation with Tracy Wilson, Greg Hendricks, and Kris Thompson. We're talking about wild horses. And Greg, you wanted to mention a little bit about the variety of people you have working as volunteers along with you.
You know, thanks, Sam. You know, it's really quite a smorgasbord of careers that we have that have volunteered, including a lot of military. And it's really a good thing for them because they love being out there and they've already trained with dart guns or with guns. But also interior decorators, vice cops that are retired. We have grandmas. We have, in fact, there's a lot of grandmas. We have almost a brigade of grandmas, I believe. And we have a lot of people that are photographers. Just about every single type of career can become a volunteer. And they're trained by American Wild Horse to be able to administer and or take pictures and document. So there's various different things you can do as a volunteer. And in my case, I got to do almost everything, right? So that was really great. But the bottom line is, you know, when you've got that kind of diversity, you really have wonderful people that are very passionate about what they do. And again, they're not getting paid and they're using their own vehicle. And, you know, they do get a little stipend sometimes for gas. But the bottom line is this is a passionate thing. And you're out in some rough country, but there's also some of the prettiest country you could ever be in. Don't ever underestimate Nevada because it's brown, because there's beautiful country to see out there.
Tracy, what have been the objections and objectors? Because I presume, you know, are there ranches in this area?
Not too many. There is a private cattle lease on the Virginia range, and we coexist quite well. Not a problem. So we don't have a lot of ranches per se, like you get on BLM land. But, you know, we do have a lot of development. So there's a lot of people, you know, that all these neighborhoods get built and they're like, well, the horses shouldn't be here. I'm like, well, the horses were here until the neighborhood got built, right? It's not that the horses are straying into the neighborhood, it's that the neighborhood strayed into the horses. So that's where you get some objections. And a lot of that is just education. There's many people who move to the area who don't know we have wild horses until they wake up one day and one is eating on their front lawn. And so that's a bit of an eye-opener. It's a quick learning experience. But that's another piece to what we do along with our partners is really try to educate the public.
So what's the resolution to that?
Fencing. So there's been a big project with the city of Reno to fence. There was a lot. I mean, if anybody knows South Reno, there's tens of thousands of homes there that weren't there 10 years ago. So a lot of issues were happening there with horses coming in on the roads. And now you've got this Veterans Parkway, which is a major thoroughfare through there. So the city of Reno has stepped up and they've already completed one phase of fencing. We're working on phase 2 with them now. And that's, you know, to just create that fence barrier between open range and where all these homes are. And that means people that move there, and you'll run into plenty that say, I moved here because I wanted to be close to the horses. But they can still see them up in the hills and not have them on the road in front of them.
You know, when we tape in Carson City, when we were at the bank exchange, you come out the back door of the bank exchange and there are deer wandering down the street.
Yeah.
It's not like Nevada is devoid of wildlife coming through.
Well, here's why I think they're popular in Nevada. There was a poll taken a few years back. I've seen the poll results, all the details. 85% of Nevadans support wild horse preservation. That is, wild horses existing in the wild. 75% responded that favor preservation through fertility control. And just for the business world, out at TRI, we've got companies with a bunch of different political viewpoints. We have companies from all over the world. They come from various angles. Two of the companies are suing each other in a big lawsuit right now.
Yes, they are.
But one thing is unanimous. Those two companies and the other companies in the park love the wild horses. I mean, the fact is, sometimes, for the few that are anti-wild horse preservation, sometimes we don't appreciate what's nearest to us. But all these people new to Nevada that are coming in, all these businesses, recognize them for how magnificent they are and how important it is to preserve them as is.
I will say to this point too, and I don't want anyone to think this is a partisan thing at all. Between the volunteers, the companies, these horses have bipartisan support. The community loves them. For the most part, there isn't an issue out there that you're not going to have a few naysayers. But for the most part, and with our polls show that we have, and the people we talk to really, just really wide support. Even our volunteer pool is bipartisan, but they all believe in this one cause and this one protecting these horses.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could just spread this atmosphere across the whole country? Let's take another break and we'll be right back.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food. It's a good time to eat. Over 500 hot slots plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have Tracy Wilson and Greg Hendricks, both with American Wild Horse Conservation, and Kris Thompson, the former project manager for the Tahoe-Reno Industrial Center. So you feel that you're close to an agreement at this point in time. Any barriers that you're seeing at this moment?
I don't, and I think, being an outsider to the group, although I support them all the way, I'm hopeful that it gets done. I think the language, from what I understand, is pretty much agreed to right now. There's no barriers I'm aware of, but here's the thing: this is good news for the state. It's good news for the horses. It's good news for the taxpayers. It's good news for the people that are on the roads. And so, I'm just thankful we're here, and I'm thankful for the job these people do out there in all kinds of weather.
Tracy, do you see this kind of program expanding across the country? Because as you guys were talking about earlier, the cost to the federal government is massive.
It is massive. I think we are really at a turning point. We talked about the numbers in federal holding. Something has to change and something has to be done differently. And I think fertility control, birth control for horses is absolutely the way it has to go. We ourselves run a program with the BLM and a local rancher in Utah. And I think that we really need to see this start expanding to areas across federal land.
And BLM is open to this?
Some of them are, yes. Every state is a little different, but I think everybody realizes, even the National Advisory Board for BLM recommended that they start fertility control at least on the HMAs that are already at appropriate management level. Get those going so those don't grow out of control and then have to be rounded up again.
Yeah, because I mean, it was really crazy at one point, the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg, you get the last words.
Well,
here.
thanks. And just so you know, the BLM actually does have a few smaller programs going like in the pine nuts right now. So there is interest. The hard part is being able to implement it for them because it's something completely different from rounding up, right? Leaving them on the range and actually going out there and darting them there. So it's really critical that they are given as much help as possible, volunteers and success stories, and we have them in the works. So this is an amazing program, and it will fix the issues if we can get enough attention and the money directed in the right way.
Well, I want to thank you for your efforts once again and for being on the program. And our thanks to the Department of Agriculture and
Absolutely.
the director for hopefully coming to an agreement that will be signed very shortly. So Thank you all for being here, and fingers crossed.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Sam.
Appreciate it.
And we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience. Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. You can always watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. Thanks for watching and listening.